So this is a new thing in college football, just like a lot of other things are new to the last 3 years of college football going forward. Kevin, we got Chip Kelly, kind of a strange, I'm trying to think if I can come up with another example of mentor who then becomes the underling of sorts years later. The mentor, of course, coached and was on staff in charge of Ryan Day at one point, and now is working for Ryan Day as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I've always joked in my career that I try to treat my coworkers well on their way up because I may need a handout on my way down. So, I'm not saying it's apples to apples at this point, but I told fans if they didn't behave that they were going to run Bill O'Brien out of town, and lo and behold, they did after 3 short weeks. But yeah, this is a unique situation, bringing in somebody that has been so instrumental in the development of Ryan Day as a coach, maybe not so much as a head coach, since they have been on separate paths for almost a decade now. But going back to the days as Ryan was at University of New Hampshire and Chip Kelly was a coach there through his NFL stops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to wonder at some points if this was the pick that Ryan would have wanted to make just right out of the gate. But there, I think there were some confusing things going on. Chip Kelly was also looking at maybe some NFL OC jobs, things of that nature. I think at some point you want to kind of break up the band a little bit. But when Bill O'Brien left, it was painfully obvious that Chip Kelly had been fully vetted and everything else. Is that just from the point that the Bill O'Brien really seemed to kind of be official, it only took mere hours for Kelly to be tapped as the replacement. And I'm looking forward to see how these guys work together, how Chip handles more of a subordinate role. For being honest, it didn't look like Chip was having a whole hell of a lot of fun at UCLA through the years. But then again, he also is not Lane Kiffin on the sidelines with the with the gesticulation and all of that type of stuff. So good hire. We'll see what bears fruit there, as Ohio State's still working to fill out its coaching roster with the 10th position still unaccounted for as of this morning.
I like what Chip Kelly's going to bring or should bring to the running game with what he does, and you pair that with the Ryan Day passing game. I think to your question, it's not even similar, but when Urban Meyer was Ohio State's head coach, Earl Bruce was in the press box behind us cussing out every single third down incompletion. So, I mean, there's some mentor-mentee thing from Urban's time at Colorado State under Earl Bruce, but that's about as close as I can recall in terms of that sort of stuff, and at least college football. But it is interesting. I know that's one of the reasons people are concerned about how they will mesh in terms of Bill O'Brien brought in some fresh looks and some sandpaper to the smoothness of the Ohio State offense and program. And so you're wondering, well, now does nothing change with Chip Kelly coming in? Is it still Ryan Day's thing? And will they fall short here or there? Where Bill O'Brien was going to rough some stuff up. Jim Tressel used to say, if it ain't broke, break it, even though he never actually really followed his own advice on that. So this would have been one of those things where Ryan Day tries breaking it, but then fixes it by bringing in Chip Kelly because Bill O'Brien left. But I think it's going to work out pretty well. I was a little surprised by the 3-year deal. I don't know that I expect him to be here for 3 years, but if he is, I think, that's a pretty good sign that things are going well, obviously. And he'll have, I'm wondering if he even wants to be a head coach in major college football anymore right now, or at least until things are settled, because this is not the same coaching job that he took in whatever it was, 2018 or whenever at UCLA. And it's certainly not the same kind of head coaching deal that he had when he was at Oregon.
Yeah, I just think that what a coup this is for Ohio State to get a guy who spent most of the last 15 years as the head coach at Oregon, than with the Eagles, the 49ers, and UCLA. I mean, you want to talk about somebody with experience. You don't get much better or varied experiences than what Chip Kelly has had, known as an offensive guru, as our friend, I love pulling that out every time I can, as our friend Tim May would say, he's a guru. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this leads for Ohio State. And, people talk about Chip Kelly is, people think, oh, he's going to throw the ball over the lot. He's loosey-goosey. He's, going to do this, going to do that. But his biggest contribution at UCLA was running the football. I mean, they were outstanding as a running team in the Pac-12. Now, again, how rugged and physical is the Pac-12? Maybe he saw that to be the outlier in that area as a way to move the sticks. But he did produce Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I did get a chance to see play a little bit for the Cleveland Browns this year. He got dinged up just as every other quarterback on that roster did before the end of the season. But I did think Dorian Thompson-Robinson has got a little bit of promise, and I thought he did pretty well there at UCLA. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's kind of leaving, at the right time. He just beat USC. I think they beat a Mountain West team in their bowl game there at SoFi. So, I don't know what else UCLA fans would have wanted out of Chip Kelly. That's kind of the high water mark for them. Martin Jarmond, his athletic director, was not committed to investing in the program. They had no money to speak of there. They're running a huge $30 million deficit or something. So, Big Ten money as it streams in eventually. I'm not sure if they get a full cut on day one or how we left that last year when they, or 2 years ago when they were added. But at any rate, he was looking to get out. No question about it. USC across town just hired his defensive coordinator away, I think at close to $2 million a year, whereas UCLA was probably paying him a little over $1 or whatever and couldn't afford to keep the guy. And you just beat them, so it's kind of like, what are we doing here? So I can understand completely his frustration with UCLA. And I believe wholeheartedly in his impact at Ohio State. I mean, this is a guy, Chip Kelly, that's never won a national championship, never won a Super Bowl. And I think he looks at this as a chance to help his prized pupil, Ryan Day, get over the hump and win a national championship, win one for himself. And he's in his early 60s, so I'm not sure, as these guys said, he's ready, willing, and able to go back out as a head coach somewhere anytime soon. So it just feels like it's the right time for all concerned. He's taken a pay cut from over $5 million a year, probably down to the $2 million level. As a mental note, I need to send off my FOIA request to Ohio State. I sent one off on Bill O'Brien, and he was gone before they ever fulfilled it. So, we don't even know what he was going to make at Ohio State. But I would assume Chip Kelly's making at least $2 million a year at Ohio State. So, belief for all these guys, and hopefully this is the right combination of people to bring Ohio State back on top of that college football mountain.
I'm waiting until the staff is fully done before sending mine in, Steve, just so I don't have to send in two.
Yeah, I hear you.
Are you paying for the stamp?
That they don't even have to claim you got to pay for the photocopies or anything anymore, because they just send you the PDF. So it all works out pretty well.
I will say, in terms of the running game in 2022 or in 2021, in the softness or the physicality, UCLA ran through LSU, beat them up at the line of scrimmage in 2021, rushed for 210 yards on 47 carries. They've had success against USC, obviously. They've had success against Utah at times, not last year, but in the year before in 2022, rushed for over 200 yards on them. So they can get it going, and he has a way of doing that. And I'm interested to see how he brings in his style, because I thought we expected to see some of that with Justin Fry, and I don't know how much of that we really got of the Chip Kelly running game when Fry came over.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the familiarity between Fry and Kelly, I think, will be important. Now, it's certainly not the type of familiarity that there is between Day and Kelly, but for Chip to come in and have an offensive line coach that he's worked with before, and obviously the O-line last year was in some previous years too, has been kind of a point of consternation for fans, and there have been issues. It'll be interesting to see what is identified with the current roster of players, and certainly coming out of spring ball, if Ohio State is active in the portal, because Chip Kelly doesn't feel that Ohio State has the pieces that it needs to be able to execute at the level that he's going to expect. If we see a young guy maybe get a chance to move up, because under the previous system it just wasn't necessarily working out right, and is this an opportunity for Luke Montgomery to sit there and stake a claim to a tackle position for a couple of years? Is this bounce well for Tegra or for Zen or somebody like that? There are a lot of points that I'm really looking forward to as spring practice, I believe, starts March 5th, if I remember right. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm only disappointed that it doesn't appear that we're going to get any interview opportunities at least this week. But I'm hopeful for next week that we get to talk to at least one or two of the new coaches.
I think because it was tucked away on the West Coast, a lot of people missed that 2 years ago with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback, UCLA came within about a 15-yard completion of kicking a game-winning field goal against USC and going to the Pac-12 championship game. And they would have played Utah, whom they, to Tony's point, I think he was citing the 21 game against LSU, but 22 against Utah. They had beaten them in the regular season. So UCLA had some success. I think that 22 team could have been much better from a record standpoint. They were that close. They blew a double-digit lead in the bowl game. They were a really good team. And yes, I have often wondered about the dynamic of successful head coach then on another side of his career, or needing a stopgap job, filling that out on a staff under another coach who's not as accomplished, although that could be argued in this situation, but not as accomplished. And that dynamic, although like everybody has alluded to, Chip Kelly's pretty much waved the white flag in regards to his head coaching career, at least at this point at UCLA. He gave up on that. We'll see. Maybe he's preferring the NFL. Of course, he made his NFL circuit. That was unsuccessful in trying to find a job there. But if he finds that the recruiting is not going to be that taxing or that expected of him in the college game, that he sticks around at Ohio State. We shall see. Ryan Dawes, thank you so much, sir. We do appreciate you being here. Thank you for the contribution. Chip Kelly to Ohio State is a great move. Plenty of familiarity with Day, and Big Fry Guy 24 is going to be a great one. Or else.
It better be.
Yeah,
Kudos
for all
to
of
you,
the
Ryan
great,
Dawes.
all of the great off-season feelings or whatever. If things don't go well, God help everybody, especially with the 12-team playoff. And I think there's going to have to be the reminder that you don't have to go 12-0 necessarily to make the playoff, but the expectations around here are going to be sky high, with roster moves, with coaching moves, with structural moves in terms of Ryan Day relinquishing play calling and everything else. If it does not end up being a great one, I don't know. What do we have? Ohio State men's basketball. It's going to be it's going to be a lot of difficult conversations at that point.
It's all about this playoff. If they go undefeated and they get upset in the second round, people will not be happy. If they go 10-2, people are not going to be happy unless, as a 9 seed, they get hot and they're in the national championship game 3 weeks later.
Well, remember, the first year of the college football playoff, Ohio State gets in as a 4, has hang 59 on Wisconsin and go through Alabama in New Orleans, pretty much in the backyard, and does it. So would it be surprising if Ohio State were able to maybe come in, have to play a first-round game this year and get hot at the right time? I would rather just see it a much simpler way. Ohio State goes 12-0, then 13-0, gets the first-round bye, cuts down a little bit on travel expenses, as I don't think anybody has really quite wrapped their head around how hard it's going to be to follow this team through a deep postseason run.